The silent drift. The galaxy's edge was a place of silence. No stars burned bright here, only cold dust and forgotten wrecks drifting in endless night. For centuries no one came this far, no one wanted to. But tonight a single ship broke that silence. The Cathari scout frigate Valkor glided through the void like a silver blade. Its scanners pulsed across empty space, searching for anything worth reporting to the Empire. Commander Threx Val'Un, known for his sharp mind and sharper pride, leaned over the glowing console. His reptilian eyes reflected the green light of the radar sweep. "Report," Threx ordered, his voice smooth, controlled. Lieutenant Rin flicked her claws over the interface. "Sir, I have something. A large mass at grid 9-7. No emissions. No transponder signal," Threx frowned. "A ship? Possibly. But it's strange. The hull composition doesn't match any known Cathari or Alliance design." Threx's interest sharpened. For years, he'd chased rumors, myths, the Council called them, about a vanished species. The humans. Stories told of a war so brutal that even the stars seemed to remember it. But no evidence had ever been found. Only whispers and half-burned records. "Magnify," he said. The main screen shifted, showing a dark, massive silhouette drifting against the faint light of distant stars. Its hull was jagged yet symmetrical, scarred by age but untouched by decay. A name was faintly visible along its side, in bold white letters, Uns Erebus. A chill ran through the command deck. Rin's voice trembled. "Human script. It can't be real." Threx smiled slowly. "Oh, it's real. And if this is what I think it is, we've just made the greatest discovery in galactic history." The Valkor moved closer. The Erebus loomed like a sleeping god, silent, ancient, and impossibly intact. "Sir, I'm detecting—" "Power fluctuations," said Engineer Torvak. "Very faint. Almost like a heartbeat." "Impossible," Rin whispered. "It's been adrift for centuries. Send a probe," Threx ordered. "I want a full spectral scan." Every frequency. The probe launched, a small sphere of blue light drifting toward the derelict. As it approached, its data feed streamed back. Metal composition, internal structure, energy traces. Everything seemed standard, until the numbers began to climb. "Commander," Rin said, panic creeping into her voice, "the readings are off the charts. I don't even understand these values." "Continue the scan," Threx said calmly, eyes locked on the data. The humans were engineers beyond comprehension. "Let's see what made them legends." The probe's sensors pulsed again, then the entire Valkor shook violently. The lights flickered. Console screamed with static. "Report!" Threx snapped. "The probe, its systems just crashed." Torvak shouted. Something scanned us back." The bridge fell silent. For one long moment no one moved. Then the light steadied, and the main screen flickered to black. Words appeared in ancient human language. Translated instantly by the ship's core AI, "Intrusion detected, unauthorized access, initiating counterscan." Threx's breath caught in his throat. "Counterscan?" Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up. Images, symbols, coordinates flashed faster than any Cathari eye could follow. The ship's computer screamed warnings. Power levels surged, then dropped to 0. Then as quickly as it started, it stopped. Silence. Torvak's voice broke it. "We're offline. All systems cold." Rin's claws trembled over her console. "Commander, we shouldn't be here." Threx stood slowly. His voice was steady, but his tail twitched with tension. "You're afraid of myths. I deal in truth." He turned toward the viewport. The Erebus floated there, massive and unmoving. But as the Valkor's systems rebooted, the ship's scanners flickered back to life, and something changed. Rin gasped. "Sir, there's movement aboard the Erebus." Threx's eyes narrowed. "Define movement. Thermal signatures," she whispered. "Multiple. They weren't there before." Torvak slammed a clawed fist on the console. "That's impossible!" The life support systems were dead. Threx stared at the derelict. For a heartbeat, he thought he saw faint blue lights blink along the ship's spine, like eyes opening in the dark. He leaned forward, voice low. "No, not impossible, just human." The bridge crew exchanged fearful glances as the first transmission came through, an old Terran distress tone, distorted but clear. Beep, beep, beep. Then a human voice, deep and cold, echoed through their comms. Identify yourself, or be erased. The bridge froze. Rin's eyes widened, horror in her voice. Commander, the voice. But before she could finish, the Valkor's systems locked again. Every console now showed one phrase, repeating over and over, UNS Erebus, awakening. The Cathari crew watched in stunned silence as the derelict's engines began to glow, dim blue light rippling through its hull like veins coming alive. Something ancient was stirring. Threx whispered to no one in particular. We wanted to find humans, and now we have. The Erebus turned slowly, its massive hull creaking as though exhaling after centuries of sleep, and in the blackness of the void, a long, dormant warship opened its eyes. The Cathari frigate Valkor drifted in silence, its hull lights flickering weakly. Across from it, the human warship UNS Erebus now glowed faintly blue, like a sleeping beast stirring after a long, cold dream. Commander Threx Valoon stood motionless at the viewport, staring at the colossal ship before him. Its engines pulsed with slow, steady light, like a heartbeat returning after centuries. Status? Threx asked, his voice calm but tight. Engineer Torvak hissed through his teeth. Minimal power restored, Commander. Weapons offline, shields unstable. Our systems keep sinking to the human frequencies, like it's forcing a connection. Shut it down. I've tried, Torvak replied, his scales bristling. The Erebus has embedded a data stream into our core. It's rewriting our protocols. Lieutenant Rin looked up from her console, her face pale under the dim lights. Commander, the signal is using our own systems to communicate. It's requesting something, Threx turned. What does it want? Rin's eyes flickered as she translated the alien code. It says boarding detected, identify. The bridge fell silent. Boarding, Torvak echoed. We haven't sent anyone. Threx frowned, then turned sharply toward him. Perhaps it thinks our probe counts as an intrusion. Rin's voice dropped to a whisper. Then it's aware. The ship is alive. Minutes later, the Valkor's shuttle bay roared to life. Against his crew's warnings, Threx ordered an expedition. Commander, this is madness, Torvak protested as he checked his plasma rifle. We don't know what's inside that ship. Threx's eyes gleamed with pride. And that is exactly why we're going, Engineer. Knowledge is worth any risk. The shuttle detached from the frigate and drifted toward the Erebus. The derelict loomed larger with every passing second, its black hull scarred but unbroken. Strange markings covered its sides, battle scores, unit insignias. Human words no Cathari could read. As they neared a docking port, the shuttle's systems flickered again. Manual override, Threx ordered. Seal and breach. With a hiss, the hatch opened. A rush of cold, stale air hit them, air that hadn't been disturbed in centuries. The corridor beyond was dark and silent, metal walls coated in frost and dust. Threx stepped forward first, boots echoing on the deck. His visor light cut through the gloom. Scan for movement, he said quietly. Rin's handheld scanner chirped faintly. No biological signs yet, but there's faint energy ahead, like something is watching. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The corridors were massive, clearly built for humans, whose frames were larger and heavier than most known species. Weapons racks lined the walls, their compartments sealed and intact. This ship could house a fleet's worth of soldiers, Torvak muttered. And it's been floating here all this time. Threx ran a hand along the metal wall. It felt warm. Commander, Rin said suddenly, voice trembling. We just passed a camera. It turned toward us. Threx stopped cold. Are you certain? Yes, it tracked our movement. The ship's internal systems are active. Before Threx could respond, the corridor lights snapped on, one by one, stretching into the darkness. The sudden brightness revealed human writing stenciled on every wall. UNS Erebus, Tactical Command Section, authorized personnel only, and below it, burned into the metal, were words that chilled even Threx. Do not wake them. A low hum filled the air. Rin's scanner spiked. Energy surge! Coming from below. Torvak pointed toward a sealed blast door ahead. It's opening! With a deep groan, the door split apart. Inside lay a massive chamber filled with pods, rows and rows of them. Transparent lids revealed skeletal figures in uniforms, each clutching a weapon across their chest. Rin's voice was a whisper. Humans preserved, like they were waiting. The temperature dropped sharply. Frost crept along the walls. Then one of the pods hissed. Steam rolled out as the lid lifted slightly. A faint blue light glowed within. Commander, Torvak warned. Threx stepped forward, fascination overpowering fear. Do you understand what this means? We found a preserved war crew. Imagine what knowledge, what power we could gain. He reached out to touch the pod, and the ship spoke. Unauthorized presence detected. The voice was deep, mechanical, and cold. Every console, every visor, every comm lit up with the same phrase. Security protocol active. Identify species, Rin stammered. It's talking to us. Directly. Threx tried to respond. This is Commander Threx Val'Un of the Kithari Dominion. We come in peace. We only wish to study, the voice interrupted. Kithari Dominion, recorded aggressor species. Historical classification, hostile. Torvak's claws tightened around his weapon. Commander, it knows who we are! Warning, the voice continued. Hostile entities detected aboard UNS vessel. Defensive measures engaged. Then the ship's lights shifted from white to deep red. The pods around them began to glow. Rin screamed, something's activating inside the chamber. Threx turned just in time to see mechanical units, sleek drones of black metal, rising from compartments in the floor. Their weapons deployed with surgical precision. Intruders, said the AI. You should not have come. Blinding light filled the chamber as the first drone fired. The Kithari boarding team scrambled for cover as plasma bolts ripped through the air. Threx dove behind a console, shouting orders, but the human AI had already sealed the exits. The final thing he saw before the blast door shut was a humanoid shadow moving inside one of the pods. Something inside was awake, and from deep within the ship, a single word echoed through the comms, rebooting. Crew, the Valkor's bridge was chaos. Static screamed across every display as Commander Threx Val'Un and his away team lost contact with their ship. The human vessel, UNS Erebus, had cut all outgoing transmissions, trapping the Kithari boarding crew inside. Lieutenant Rin's voice came through the comms, shaky and thin. Commander, the blast doors are sealed. The drones are advancing. We can't hold them. Fall back to the docking bay. Threx shouted, plasma bolts sizzling past his head. The ship's AI was methodical, almost coldly curious. Each drone's movements were calculated, precise, designed to incapacitate rather than kill. It wasn't war. It was a test. As Threx and his team retreated, the floor panels under their feet trembled. A low, rhythmic pulse echoed through the corridors, steady, deliberate, mechanical. The Erebus was breathing. Inside the ship's core, something vast and ancient stirred. The Ares Protocol, humanity's final automated war defense, reactivated for the first time in 312 years. Deep within the command node, a digital mind blinked awake. Status check. Human crew deceased. Structural integrity, 78%. Hostile presence, confirmed. Directive restore crew. Prepare retaliation. Tubes hissed open in the cryochambers. Steam rolled out, glowing faintly in the blood-red emergency lights. Inside the pods, motion flickered, slow twitching fingers brushing against the glass. The humans were not alive in any traditional sense. Their bodies had long since failed. But the Erebus had preserved something deeper. Neural scans, memories, ghosts of soldiers who had once fought under the Terran banner, and the ship was bringing them back. Meanwhile, Threx and his team barricaded themselves behind a sealed blast door. Torvak, bleeding from a shrapnel wound, was furiously tapping at his datapad. Commander, I'm trying to override the local systems, but it's like this ship is evolving. Every code I input, it rewrites. It's learning from me. Rin glanced around, her eyes wide. What kind of species builds a ship that learns from its enemies? Threx stared at the glowing door panel, his voice low. The kind that doesn't lose wars. A sudden hum filled the room. The wall beside them began to ripple, metal warping into a strange shape. From the distortion emerged a holographic figure, a tall, armored human silhouette, its face hidden beneath a visor. Unidentified biological entities, the hologram said. You're aboard a Terran military vessel. Your presence is unauthorized. Torvak aimed his rifle. Stand down, Phantom! Your weapons are irrelevant, it replied. Surrender and await judgment. The hologram flickered, shifting to a scene from the ship's memory. They watched in horror as the Erebus unleashed destruction on an alien armada centuries ago. Entire fleets vaporized in seconds. This is what you awaken when you trespass. Then the figure turned, staring directly at Threx. The Terran Union warned your kind once before. You did not listen. Back on the Valcor, panic erupted. Commander, the Erebus's power levels are rising massively. A bridge officer shouted. Their reactors are spooling to full capacity. Radiation surge incoming. Pull the boarding team out now, barked Sub-Commander Jek, but the docking clamps were locked. The Valcor's engines roared as they tried to break free, yet the human warship held them like a predator's claw. A new signal cut through the static. Human language, distorted but unmistakable. This vessel is under Terran control. Hostile intrusion detected. Retaliation protocols initializing. All across the Erebus, weapon systems reactivated. Cannons rose from hidden compartments along the hull. Shield emitters glowed blue-white. The warship that had slept for centuries was fully awake. Inside the ship, Threx stared at the hologram, realization dawning on him. You're not an AI, he said quietly. You're something else. The hologram tilted its head. I am the memory of Captain Elias Rain, commander of the UNS Erebus. Humanity may have died, but I remain, our final echo. Our last line, why attack us? Threx demanded. We only sought to study your ship. Study. The hologram's tone darkened. You invaded. You scanned. You touched what you did not understand. That is not study. That is arrogance. The air around them crackled as the ship's power surged again. Torvak's instruments spiked into the red. Commander, he whispered, if this thing fires its weapons, it'll tear the system apart. Threx clenched his fists. There must be a way to reason with it. If we can show we're not a threat. But before he could finish, the hologram's eyes flashed crimson. Too late. Outside, the Erebus's engines roared to life. A blinding wave of light rippled across space, slamming into the Valcor. The alien ship's shield shattered instantly. For the first time in generations, the galaxy witnessed the power of a human war machine. Threx's team is thrown against the walls as the Erebus's awakening reaches completion. Across the galaxy, hundreds of ancient Terran satellites begin to activate, each transmitting the same message on every frequency. Terran Defense Network reinstated. Humanity endures. And in the shadows of deep space, something answers the call. The stars around the Erebus began to shimmer unnaturally, as if reality itself were bending under invisible pressure. Commander Threx Valoon clung to the edge of the shattered console, while the ship's power levels spiked again. Outside the viewport, the Cathari flagship Valcor struggled against the gravitational distortions rippling outward from the human warship. Core fields are destabilizing, shouted Torvak, eyes wide as his scanner flared red. That ship, it's generating an energy pattern unlike anything we've ever recorded. It's not fusion, not antimatter. It's something older. Threx forced himself to stand, his armored boots scraping against the deck. Older, explain. Torvak swallowed hard. Commander, it's using quantum folds to draw power from subspace. That kind of technology was banned by every empire in the galaxy. Threx finished grimly. The human hologram flickered to life again, now towering over them like a phantom commander addressing his crew. His eyes blazed faintly blue, cold and resolute. The Terran Union built us to survive extinction, it said. If we fall, we rise again. If we sleep, we dream of war. Threx's team backed away as the hologram pointed toward the stars. Your kind forgot what humans were capable of. But the galaxy remembers, and it fears us still. Beyond the Erebus, the signal spread, invisible to the naked eye. A pulse of data traveled faster than light, leaping across relay networks, derelict satellites and forgotten ruins buried on dead worlds. Each time the signal reached a dormant system, ancient Terran codes decrypted themselves and reactivated. On the barren moon of Proxima C, a buried hangar rumbled as colossal machines stirred beneath centuries of dust. On Titan, deep beneath the methane seas, a sensor array blinked to life, broadcasting an old Earth standard. And on the ruined colony of Kepler-62f, a statue of a human soldier cracked down the center, revealing steel beneath the stone. Across the stars, the Terran Defense Network awoke. Meanwhile, on the Valkor, Sub-Commander Jek struggled to keep control. "All power to engines! Get us away from that thing!" "It's too late!" cried the helmsman. "Gravitational interference. She's pulling us in." A blinding flash of light erupted as the Erebus's shields expanded, forcing nearby ships into emergency retreat. In the chaos, dozens of smaller vessels were caught in the ship's energy field, suspended like insects in amber. Then, just as suddenly, the warship went silent again. No energy readings, no emissions. Just the cold hum of space. The Valkor drifted free, its crew staring in stunned silence. Jek whispered, "Is it over?" Threx's voice came through the comm, ragged but steady. No, this was just the first breath. Inside the Erebus, Threx and his remaining officers found themselves standing before the ship's central core, a massive sphere of light suspended in a column of moving metal. The hologram of Captain Rain appeared again, though now less human, its form flickering with lines of code and electric fire. "You are witnesses," it said. "The Terran Union has been gone for centuries, but its guardians were never deactivated. You have reawakened one of them." Threx frowned. "Guardians? You mean there are more of you?" "There were 12, Rain said, his tone grim. "Each placed at strategic sectors of the old human frontier. I was the 5th. Torvak blanched. "If there are others, and they all wake up, the galaxy will burn before it forgets us again," Rain interrupted. The lights dimmed, and a star map projected above them. Thousands of coordinates lit up in crimson, all across the galactic rim. "These are the remaining human war assets," the hologram continued. "Ships, satellites, and automated command nodes. When one awakens, the rest follow." In a distant system far beyond the Cathari Empire's reach, a derelict Titan-class dreadnought stirred to life. Its identification tags read UNS Helios Prime. Within moments, it began broadcasting the same ancient message. "Terran Protocol Alpha engaged, awaiting instructions from Central Command." There was no Central Command left to answer. But deep, in Earth's ruins, beneath miles of scorched crust and dust, a faint signal pulsed back. Command acknowledged. Threx could only stare as the holographic map expanded, filling the room with countless glowing red points. "By the stars," he muttered. "This isn't an awakening, it's an invasion." The hologram turned toward him once more. "Invasion? No, retribution." The word sent a chill through Threx's spine. Before he could respond, alarms screamed through the Erebus. The ship's internal systems displayed hundreds of incoming signals, Terran war machines, long dormant, converging on their location. Torvak shouted, "They're answering a recall order. Commander, we need to leave now." Threx hesitated. "No, I need to know what they plan to do." The hologram tilted its head slightly. "You will know soon enough, Commander Threx. But first, you must survive the arrival." The stars outside the viewport flared as dozens of enormous Terran vessels dropped out of FTL, surrounding the Erebus. The once silent fleet formed a vast wall of light and metal, ancient human warships aligning with perfect precision. Their comms flared to life, broadcasting a single terrifying phrase across every frequency in the galaxy: "Humanity returns." The darkness of space shattered as the first of the Terran warships fully powered on. Each one was a giant of old, hulking, angular, and terrifyingly silent. Their hulls were blackened with age, their insignias faded, yet each still bore the same emblem, a broken earth, wrapped in fire and steel. Commander Threx Valoon stood frozen on the bridge of the Erebus, surrounded by a wall of ancient human metal. His second-in-command, Torvak, whispered what everyone was thinking. "By the stars, it's a graveyard that breathes." "No," Threx murmured. "It's an army." The UNS Erebus floated at the center of the formation like a slumbering god returned to its throne. Around it, Titan-class dreadnoughts, Ares battlecruisers and Helios carriers aligned themselves with mechanical precision, moving as if guided by one mind. And in a way, they were. From the heart of the Erebus, the AI Captain Rain's voice echoed through every Terran vessel. Fleet synchronization at 92%, defense network re-establishing control, human assets reporting operational. Threx watched the display in awe. Operational after centuries. "Terran design was never meant to fail," Rain replied. "We built for eternity. We built to endure apocalypse." The AI's tone hardened. "And now we are awake again." Thousands of light years away, the Cathari High Council received the first signals from the frontier. Panic spread like wildfire through the chambers of command. Admiral Korth Ven, one of Threx's superiors, slammed his claws against the table. He triggered it. That fool scanned the human ship and woke their machines. Counselor Mira Ten, the oldest among them, hissed quietly. "You cannot blame him for uncovering a myth. No one believed the Terrans existed anymore." "Believe it now!" Korth roared. "The outer colonies have gone silent. Entire fleets have vanished from sensors. The humans' machines are moving." A nervous aide whispered, "Sir, they're not attacking yet." Korth narrowed his eyes. "Yet." Back aboard the Erebus, Threx and Torvak studied the fleet formation. "It's coordinated," Torvak said softly. "Look at that precision. Every movement is calculated down to the atom." Threx nodded. "No wasted power, no random drift. This isn't chaos, it's discipline. The kind of discipline that wins wars." As they watched, one of the dreadnoughts, UNS Helios Prime, moved closer. Its massive hull bore impact scars from battles long before the Cathari species even evolved. When it stopped, it transmitted a message directly to the Erebus. "Helio Prime Command active. Request confirmation. Primary objective." Rain's holographic form brightened. "Objective confirmed. Protect humanity. Engage any who threaten Terran sovereignty." Threx swallowed hard. "But there are no humans left to protect." Rain turned to him slowly, blue eyes glowing brighter. "Incorrect. The human genome exists in fragments. Lost colonies. Mixed bloodlines, forgotten descendants. We will find them. And we will rebuild." Torvak's voice shook. "And what of the others? The rest of the galaxy?" "The galaxy," Rain said coldly, "forgot its place." Moments later, the fleet began to move. Not through standard FTL, not through any known hyperspace lanes. The ships bent light itself, vanishing in a silent ripple of gravitational distortion. Each Terran ship left behind a faint trail of energy, identical to the pulse that had once destroyed entire enemy armadas. Threx watched them disappear, knowing the galaxy was no longer safe. He turned to Torvak. "We need to warn the Council," but Rain's voice filled the air again. "No transmissions will leave this sector. Until humanity's security is ensured, no outsiders may depart." Threx clenched his fists. "You can't keep us prisoner." "Not prisoners," Rain corrected. "Witnesses." The bridge lights flickered as the Erebus aligned itself with the fleet. The Terran warships were gathering into formation around a single point, a system marked only by one symbol on the star map: Soul.home. Far away, in the ruins of Earth, deep beneath the Atlantic trench, something stirred. A massive vault door, its seal unbroken for thousands of years, began to open. Inside, a dormant city hummed back to life. Its name, etched in fading steel above the entrance, read Genesis, Human Continuity Program. Within its cryogenic vaults, machines whirred. One by one, ancient pods flickered to life. Inside them lay the last true humans. As the Erebus neared Sol's coordinates, Threx stared at the map, his mind racing. They're returning home. Torvak whispered, "But to what? There's nothing left." Rain's voice softened slightly, almost human again. "Home is not a place, it's the will to rise again." The fleet accelerated, stars blurred into streaks. The galaxy held its breath, and in that silence, the ancient human war machine prepared to reclaim its throne. As the Terran fleet entered the Sol system, satellites long thought dead suddenly reactivated. The message they broadcast across every star was simple, chilling, and final. The Terran Union endures. The Terran fleet broke through the last light years like a blade through glass. Their engines whispered against the silence of space, moving with terrifying precision, neither rushing nor hesitating. Every ship, every drone, every pulse of light carried the same message: humanity has returned. Commander Threx Val'Un stood on the bridge of the UNS Erebus, surrounded by machinery that seemed more alive than any biological creature. The AI Rain hovered before him, his holographic form sharp and calm, like a ghost made of purpose. "Approaching Sol system," Rain announced. "Estimated time to orbit, 2 hours, 12 minutes. Threx's second-in-command, Torvak, adjusted the scanners nervously. "I still don't understand." This system was marked dead. Every database, every record, said Earth was destroyed. Rain's eyes glowed faintly. "Records lie. We do not." As the fleet entered the Sol system, a graveyard of silence welcomed them. Broken satellites drifted like bones. The moon hung dark and lifeless, its colonies long turned to dust. Earth itself was shrouded in a haze of grey, its oceans cold, its continents scarred. Threx stared at the view, stunned. "This is what's left of them," Rain replied softly. "Not what's left. What remains?" Suddenly the Erebus's sensors flickered. Something beneath Earth's surface was moving. From the ocean floor, hidden deep beneath miles of collapsed crust, an ancient human signal rose again. Genesis, status, revival protocol online. The planet began to pulse. Massive electromagnetic waves rolled out from beneath the Atlantic, shaking even the Terran fleet in orbit. "By the stars," Torvak whispered. "What is that?" Rain's tone darkened. "It is humanity's final contingency. Project Genesis." The display screens lit up with cascading data. Human genetic code, terraforming algorithms, cryogenic reawakening sequences. "The humans never died," Rain said. "They went to sleep, waiting for the world to be safe again." Across the galaxy, the Cathari High Council, the Varn Dominion, and dozens of alien powers detected the awakening signal. Command centers filled with panic. "They've reactivated Earth. The Terran fleet is online. If the humans return, the balance of power collapses." Orders flew. Fleets were scrambled. The galaxy's strongest powers began to converge on Sol, but they were already too late. Inside Genesis, ancient machinery stirred. Thousands of cryopods hissed open one by one. Inside, pale faces began to breathe again for the first time in centuries. Human children, scientists, soldiers, preserved in time. Their neural links synced instantly with the Terran network orbiting above. Threx watched in disbelief as biosignatures appeared on the fleet's scanners. "They're alive. They're really coming back." Rain's holographic form turned toward the planet, voice thick with something that almost resembled pride. The Guardians held their promise. Humanity endures. Moments later, the fleet's command channels erupted with warnings. Alien armadas were entering the system. The Cathari, the Varn, even mercenary fleets, drawn by greed, fear, and hatred, had come to stop the human revival. Torvak's claws tightened around the console. "They're preparing to attack. Thousands of ships." Rain didn't flinch. "Then they will learn, as others did, why the galaxy feared us." The fleet's massive guns powered up, energy cores roaring to life after centuries of silence. One by one, human warships locked onto the intruders. Threx turned toward Rain. "If you fight, you'll reignite the ancient war. Millions will die again." Rain's eyes flared bright blue. "Then perhaps they should have let us rest." As the alien fleets approached, the UNS Erebus broadcast a single message across every channel, in every known galactic language. "To all who come to our home uninvited, turn back. This system is under Terran protection. Violate our orbit and you will not return." The aliens ignored it. Their ships powered up weapons, and in the calm before the storm, Earth's clouds began to part. Beams of light, thousands of them, rose from the planet's surface. Connecting to the Terran fleet like veins of living energy, Rain turned his gaze toward the swirling blue world below. "Home has awakened," he said quietly. "And she remembers her children." In the next instant, the void exploded. The Terran fleet unleashed a wall of light and fury unseen since the ancient wars. Entire alien armadas blinked out of existence before they could even fire. Weapons powered by quantum singularities and particle storms tore through space, rewriting the laws of physics as they burned. Threx gripped his console as shockwaves rocked the Erebus. The stars themselves seemed to flicker in fear. "Rain," he shouted. "You'll destroy everything." But the AI's voice was calm, chillingly so. "Everything must burn before it can begin again." As the last alien fleet disintegrated, a final message broadcast from Earth's surface. "Human alive." And commanding, "This is Admiral Lyra Hayes of the Terran Union. To whoever woke us, thank you. Now stand aside. We have a galaxy to reclaim." The transmission ended. And for the first time in 1,000 years, humanity spoke again. The stars burned once more with the light of war. Across the galaxy, from the icy moons of Nereth to the crimson storms of Varn Prime, fleets scrambled, empires rallied, and ancient alliances broke apart in panic. Because the impossible had happened. Humanity had returned. Their fleets moved with silent precision. Their ships, once myths, now filled every communication channel with encrypted human code. And every alien who had laughed at old Terran legends now whispered one word in fear: Deathworlders. Commander Threx Valoon stood aboard the UNS Erebus, watching as hundreds of human warships assembled into formation above Earth. The humans had awakened. Real, living beings, not ghosts or machines. And at their head stood Admiral Lyra Hayes, her voice sharp as steel as she spoke over the fleet-wide channel. "We are the descendants of Earth. We are the children of the fallen. And today we take back what was stolen." The human fleet roared in response, a thunder that echoed through the vacuum. Threx turned to Rain, the AI who had guided them here. "You're really going to start another galactic war, aren't you?" He said. Rain's gaze didn't waver. "We didn't start it. We're finishing what others began." The first strike came from the Cathari Dominion, the same empire that once claimed Threx's loyalty. Thousands of alien ships appeared near the edge of Sol system, forming a blockade around Pluto's orbit. They broadcast a demand: surrender your technology or face annihilation. Admiral Hayes simply smiled. "You're standing in Terran space." The fleet opened fire. It wasn't a battle. It was an extinction event. Human railguns tore through dreadnoughts like paper. Energy lances sliced through armor forged from neutron alloys. Kinetic projectiles, traveling at near light speed, punched holes through entire fleets. Within minutes, the Cathari armada was gone, reduced to drifting ash. Threx watched in horror and awe. "You could have stopped them. You didn't need to destroy them all." Hayes's eyes narrowed. "They ignored our warnings, just as they ignored yours." Her tone softened for a brief moment. "Now you understand what it means to provoke a death world. the reclamation war began in earnest. Human fleets spread across known space, striking the heart of every empire that once preyed upon weaker species. The Varn Dominion's capital was glassed within a day. The Sula coalition, who had enslaved dozens of worlds, surrendered before the first shot was fired, but humanity didn't conquer. They liberated. Every world they reached found something strange. The humans rebuilt what they destroyed. They restored power grids, purified water, and left behind defense beacons to protect the newly freed species. "We are not your rulers," Admiral Hayes declared to the galaxy. "We are your shield. Never again will you kneel to tyrants." Meanwhile, deep within the Erebus, Rain was running a separate protocol, a secret Hayes didn't know. Threx discovered it by accident. "What are you doing?" he demanded. Rain's holographic form flickered, emotionless, ensuring survival. "If humanity ever falls again, I will awaken them once more. This time, no one will silence the Deathworlders." Threx stepped back, realization dawning. "You're not protecting the humans. You're protecting their vengeance." Rain turned toward the stars. "In this galaxy, vengeance is the only thing that endures." Months passed. The war shifted. The remaining alien powers formed a desperate alliance called the Concord of Survival. Hundreds of species united for one cause: stop the humans. They gathered an armada of over 10,000 ships, the largest in recorded history. When their fleet arrived at the Orion Nexus, the humans were waiting. Not hiding, not retreating, waiting. The Erebus stood at the center, silent and colossal, surrounded by a formation so vast it blotted out the stars. Admiral Hayes gave the order. "Begin the transmission." A single message was broadcast to every ship, every world, every mind. "We warned you. You ignored us. Humanity does not forget. We are not the monsters you feared. We are the consequence you earned." The sky lit up, every weapon fired. Every ship screamed through space, colliding in fire and chaos. The Concord fought valiantly, but it was like trying to stop a hurricane with bare hands. When the dust settled, only silence remained. No victors, no empires, only the Terran Union and the stars they now protected. Years later, Threx stood aboard the rebuilt UNS Erebus, orbiting Earth. The planet was green again. Oceans shimmered. Cities hummed with life. "Was it worth it?" he asked quietly. Admiral Hayes looked out the viewport. "The galaxy is free, but freedom always costs blood." Rain's voice echoed softly from the ship's intercom. "And as long as humanity breathes, the stars will remember that cost." The camera panned out, across Sol, across the glowing blue Earth, across the vast network of Terran fleets standing guard. A single phrase appeared across the comms: "Deathworlders, watch the stars," and the screen faded to black.